Welcome back. Now, fireworks are beautiful. They're a 4th of July tradition and they're fun, but we must also remember they can be very dangerous.
That's very true. So before you decide to light that fuse, Tucson Fire Captain Barrett Baker is here with what you should be thinking about this 4th of July. How are you?
Great to be back as always. Hoping everybody has a good 4th of July, and obviously the most important part is to stay safe.
Absolutely. And you have some do's and especially don'ts for us this season, because I think some of them are obvious and some of them aren't as obvious as you would think.
Right.
So what's the first tip?
Probably the first do is let the professionals take care of the big ones. There's obviously several shows around the city, out in Marana as well. They've taken all the safety precautions, and those are the eye-opening ones where you can sit back with your family and ooh and ah and clap and have a great time. But again, A Mountain, we go up there, we have the fire trucks up there, we wet everything down beforehand. Leave it to the professionals to do that. Enjoy it. That way everyone stays safe and your eyes and hands get a good workout.
Right.
Now, what not to do's. Everything in the way of the display that we've brought here today, we learn from our mistakes. They all have labeling, and every single one of them has cautions. So this one in particular, use only under close adult supervision. That's a big one. For outdoor use only, kind of a big one too. Probably wouldn't be very good in the studio today, so we'll hold off on that. Do not hold in hand, another big one. Lastly, lay on the ground, light fuse, and get away. So you talked about, Heather, these things seem like common sense, but boy, the injury rates when it comes to eyes, hands, the burns that we see when it comes to fireworks, obviously it's a real threat. So we want to make sure that we take all of the safety precautions when it comes to using anything like this.
Right, and I think people underestimate. They're like, oh, that's easy. You just set it down, you go a distance, you light the fuse, and then it's fine. But more often than not...
Yeah, it's not a crock pot. You can't set it and forget it. Okay,
right.
So some of the little things. Plan for an emergency. Have a hose ready, a bucket of water, anything like that, to where if a fire does start, that you're able to put it out quickly. We talked about the injuries that you get with your hands and obviously your eyes as well. So instead of using a lighter, perhaps you use the longer stick match to try to light something. If it's a dud, call it a dud, move on to the next one. Don't try to relight something. So those are some of the other things. But I think the first thing that they talk about here is really, really important as a parent, and that's for, use only under close adult supervision. Even something that we would consider safe or benign, like the sparklers. When you light those up and you've got 2 kids playing with them, it looks awesome, it's cool, but it's still over 1,000 degrees at the tip. And the simple fact is, if you touch my skin with 1,000 degrees, I'm going to get burned pretty badly.
1,000 degrees.
Yeah, and so even the things that we consider to be safe and toys, they really still take the parental supervision to make sure that there aren't any problems with things like that.
Good point. Definitely a good point.
Yeah, and then we just hope that, obviously it's a great thing that Mother Nature has kind of moved in with the monsoon. That helps keep things wet. But again, how tragic would it be to go outside, light some firework that goes off and explodes, comes down, catches grass on fire, that moves into somebody's house, and I would put that in the totally unnecessary category. So just go to some of the professional shows and enjoy them that way.
I love it. And then, I know we see them sometimes, the fireworks that come in kind of like the brown paper wrapping. Tell us about that.
Well, I think anything, the easiest way to explain it is that if it is on the ground and it stays in front of you, then that's going to be something that you can use, and if you follow the directions, you can use them safely. Anything that goes up and away from you and makes loud bangs, we don't want, the public, we don't want myself, Joe, anybody else using that. That's where the professionals should come into play. So anything that explodes, and again, even those, everything on there, as we talked about, they all have warning signs as to what not to do. But things go wrong sometimes, and I would rather no one else get hurt by having something go wrong.
Right, it's all about staying vigilant. It's about watching the kids, choosing the right ones, and then going to a real fireworks show, not trying to start your own. And, it's so good to have you on as always, Captain.
Appreciate it. Hope you have a safe 4th of July.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And for more information and safety tips, you can go to fire.tucsonaz.gov.